Hi, Sherri Colvin for the Tiny Tailor Workshop. In this tutorial, we're going to make 18th century fabric shoes. We'll go step by step until we have a pair of shoes fit for Marie Antoinette. Let's go on over to the work table and get started. Some of the things you're going to need are a doll leg without a heel. Now I just cut the heel off of this doll leg and set it aside to use later. Fabric in a natural fiber like silk or cotton. You'll need cardstock in a darker color for your sole, and then a lighter color for a subsole. A small buckle, some 2mm silk ribbon, of course you're going to need your scissors, needle tool or a toothpick, and some tacky glue or white glue. One more thing you may want to consider is fray checks. So some of the pieces when you cut them are going to want to unravel, and putting a really small amount of fray check on those finished edges really helps to keep them from unfraying in the future. We'll start by making a subsole from our light colored cardstock. What this is going to do is give a better shape to the toe box of the finished shoe. To do this, set the doll's leg onto the light cardstock and trace around it with a pencil. Next, go down about 1/3 of the way and make some marks. Put a little bit more pointed shape on the end of the toe box and connect those marks with an arc. Now you can cut that shape out. Once the shape is cut out, glue it to the bottom of the shoe, like this. The next thing we're going to do is make a heel strip out of our fabric. To do this, we're going to get our fabric and cut it into a piece that's about 1/2 inch by 2 inches. Be mindful of where your pattern falls if you have a pattern on your fabric, because you may want to position that in a certain way on your heel. Now take the strip of fabric and glue it onto the heel area of the doll, working it down to the toe box at an angle, something like this. You may want to fray check the top edge of your heel strip if your fabric frays easily. Cut off the excess fabric at the front of the foot. And cut off the excess length at the bottom of the foot, leaving about 1/16 of an inch so that you can create notches in order to glue the fabric down to the bottom of the foot to create a clean edge. So I'm going to cut notches like this right up to the bottom of the foot with my scissors, all the way around. Then place some glue on the bottom of the shoe and turn those notches, or the notched pieces of fabric, under. You just keep working it and working it until all the tabs are tucked under and you have a clean edge on the bottom of your shoe. Next, we'll make the shoe top. Start this by cutting a piece of fabric about 1 inch by 1 inch. Again, taking note of where the pattern is on your fabric in case you want to position it in a certain way on the top of the foot. An easy way to check that placement is to put a dot of glue onto the bottom of the foot and then position it onto your fabric while the fabric is upside down. Fold the fabric over and see where that hits the top of the foot. Once you get it in place, you can fold it back under and tack that down permanently. Once you're happy with the positioning, start the process of cutting off the excess fabric. And start notching the fabric just like we did with the heel strip. The process is the same as before. You just keep notching and gluing and notching and gluing until you have a nice clean edge. This would also be the time to look at the top of the fabric of your shoe and see if you want to trim any of it to get the look of the shoe that you're trying to create. You can tack that in place with a bead of glue and then continue to notch around the fabric at the bottom of the shoe. The toe box may require a little bit more work, so just keep trimming and gluing until you have it nice and neat. Now that we have the shoe top done, it's time to move on to the shoe tongue. And the shoe tongue is what's going to give it that distinctive 18th century look. So cut a piece of fabric about an 1/8 inch by an 1/8 inch, and you'll want to pay attention to a design, if there's a design in your fabric, and how that's going to work with the tongue of the shoe. Once you have the look that you want, just place a dot of glue onto the shoe and put the shoe tongue in place. Putting a small amount of fray check on the exposed edges of the tongue will keep it from fraying. Now we're ready for some shoe jewelry. We're going to thread the silk ribbon through the buckle and leave about 1 inch of ribbon on each side of the buckle. An easy way to get the ribbon through the buckle is to cut a very sharp angle onto the ribbon before you thread it through. This is not easy, so use your tweezers and cut another sharp angle onto the ribbon if you need to in order to get it through the other side. And glue the ribbon to the underside of the shoe. Okay, we're ready to make the sole of our shoe now. You'll need some cardstock. Now, I use dark cardstock here, but you really can use any color you'd like to make your shoe the type of shoe that you want. But this is some fairly flexible cardstock, nothing special. And what we're going to do is cut out the shape of the bottom of the shoe. And to do that, just like we did with the subsole, we're going to trace around the bottom of the foot. So here we go. We're going to trace around the whole bottom of the foot in order to get our sole. So you see I have an outline. I'm just going to darken it up a little bit. And the goal here is to cut off the pencil line that you've created, and that will make it small enough it compensates for the fact that the pencil line is a little wider than what you want the bottom of the sole to be. So here we go. And now we'll glue that to the bottom of the shoe. So just going to test fit it here to make sure it is small enough. Looks pretty good. Now just take your glue and spread it all over the bottom of the shoe. Position the sole in place and press down. One thing I like to do is to create a crease where the heel meets the arch of the shoe. Like that. I just do it with my fingernail like you see there. And that works really well. And there you go. That's the sole of the shoe ready to roll. The next thing we'll do is reattach the heel to the shoe, or you can make a polymer clay heel if you would like. So this is the heel that I cut off, and I'm just going to put it back on. It is helpful to paint the heel before you glue it back on, but I'm not going to do that here. I'm just going to show you quickly how that's done. It's just a dot of glue. And reattach. I really hope you've enjoyed this video on how to make a pair of 18th century shoes for your miniature doll. If you have, like and subscribe, and visit us at minidollkit.com for more helpful videos and products.